We've got Chief Geologist Adam Jones on site. He's been at Blue Mountain for a couple of weeks. You spoke with him this morning, tracking well. What's the latest with Adam?
Yeah, I mean the guys got out in the field just before the start of July. And I was busy sort of getting set up. He then had a presentation up at Charters Towers, which I believe went really quite well. He's been out and viewed a rig that's for sale, the 60 tons an hour. So we've been out there, we've had a look at it, and we've got some ongoing discussions regarding that with the owner. A lot's been going on, so I don't really give too long a response. But yeah, Adams then got back to site, got to put some new ground, some trenching, and of course now it's the activities that are required in order to get the company set up for future mining. Um, so right now, what we're looking to do is we're looking to open some new ground. We'll do a little bit of drilling up there, just to identify additional opportunities, scale, size, scope for the project. And then, of course, the primary focus is on recovery, both in the field, because we've got our Nelson concentrator up there, which will help us, um, get an idea of what sort of recovery rates we can get out in the field. And then we'll do some sort of back testing at the laboratory to see where we are, how big an improvement we're able to make on the ground versus that in the laboratory. So, yeah, a lot going on. The plant's up running, the washing material visibly, we're already seeing gold, and it looks quite promising. The focus for us as a team here is to really look to improve and enhance those recovery rates. We knew from the Gecko report, the independent report, that there was an opportunity for us to improve on that. And yeah, we've made a dent in it so far. Some of that washing and trenching will stop briefly whilst we get some drilling done. We're obviously got the drilling contractors out in the field at Lolworth planned in the not too distant future, so it makes sense for us to utilize the rig. Um, some of the additional work on Blue Mountain will continue to take place, preparing next trenches and next opportunities, whilst the drilling takes place too. So yeah, really active. And then as we move through July into August, we'll be heading up to Lolworth and onwards and beyond. And I'm sure you'll hear more about that as we get there. But a really, really busy and active period for us, Andrew. And I know it's quite a long-winded response to a very short question.
But of course, these targets at Lolworth we're looking to drill, these haven't been touched by a drill rig previously.
No, no, no. I mean, look, Adam's got a wealth of experience in Queensland. He did a lot of his studying up there as a young budding geologist. He's worked in Queensland and in and around the area, and he always had a focus and an eye on this particular area around the Lolworth Range. Um, so we obviously moved up there before Nick and I joined the company. The decision was to go and investigate it and see what opportunities there were. And we've had a couple of seasons out there with some prospectors and a broader and wider team working on the ground for a couple of seasons, and we're pretty confident now that we've been able to vector in on areas of interest and worthy of drilling. And we did some trenching up there last year and uncovered the ground and got subsurface, and we were happy with what we were seeing. And of course, aside from that, we've got the rare earth opportunity as well, which is being investigated by the guys at Geological department in Queensland as well. So we've got a nice collaboration running there. So lots of activity, lots going on. We'll get to Gorge Creek, Uncle Terry's, that sort of area, and we'll get the drill in the ground. We expect to drill quite a significant number of holes, which we expect to be relatively shallow, based on the geology and what we've been seeing. And then we'll get the results from that as well. So yeah, a lot going on, lots of drilling. I've seen, some of our peers get great results in the ground, and that's what pays, and that's what the market, really wants to see, and that is validation that the assets are worthy of evaluation greater than the one that we're at today.
Mike, it was only a couple of weeks ago we had that Telegram call. You got some incredible viewing numbers on it. Some discussion also around the establishment potentially of a Bitcoin treasury. What would be ECR's possible motivation behind this?
But look, on a personal standpoint, I think the motivation, I've been pretty vocal about it anyway. I think that as the future moves on, these types of treasury strategies are going to be rolled out, broadly and widely. I think if you go and look at some of the industry majors, they're actually doing it too. If we see a future in a world with, with Bitcoin, predominantly Bitcoin's the known sort of digital currency that people have got familiar with, but there are others, Ethereum and the likes. Um, I believe that we're seeing some of the much bigger players that are already making steps into this environment. Of course, we're seeing people that are operating in different areas as well, but I just think from an industry perspective, um, there will be a future world where transactions and look, the cost of transactions and the ease of transaction using that type of digital currency um, is quick, it's reliable, it's economic, and as a company, the future of ECR is to get into production and generate revenue. And where do we hold that? Do we hold it as a typical treasury in dollars, pounds, shillings, or pence? So I think, and I don't want to be too drawn on this question. It's been asked, of course, a couple of weeks ago, that, as you've highlighted, and right now, there's a process to go through, and the policies needed, and that's exactly where a company like ours would be if they were looking at going in that direction. Like I say, I can only give a personal view, and my personal view on it is that we're already seeing it further up the food chain, and this is a worthy concept to adopt. But as a company, I think it's fair for us to say when we're ready to make that statement, we'll make it. But we are sitting on a fair bit of cash, contrary to some of the market's belief. We did put that out in recent news, the company's current cash position. So we're more than funded, very well funded, in fact, to take us into 2026. And indeed, if the future of the company is to generate revenues, how would we intend to hold that? And I think, being mindful, cognizant, and aware of new sort of alternatives and worthy strategies is it would be remiss of us not to be considering this. So, yeah, I mean, right now, based on the way that the regulators operate and the fact that we're cognizant of that and sensitive, I don't want to go too deep into giving a fuller response than the one that I've just given.
But I mean, you hit the nail there. With ECR heading into a period of production revenue generation, this is a
Yeah.
pivotal 6, 12 months ahead for ECR.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think there's been plenty of bumps in the road. I think if we were to do this again, I don't think Nick and I would say we wouldn't change a thing. I mean, there are things that I think, and any strong management team has to be self-critical and has to be able to be able to look at past events and say, we perhaps could have refined that, modified it a little bit, and improved on it. But this was a big undertaking when we took the job on. The market supported us, and we were really grateful of that. And we hope that by aligning ourselves with shareholders, that has helped investors get some confidence behind what we're doing. But there have been a few bumps in the road. There's been deals that we've looked at and they've not happened for a variety of reasons. Um, and some might argue, is it a blessing in disguise? Because we looked at the disposal of the accumulated tax losses, we'd agreed a figure of, I think, $4.5 million. We probably wouldn't have got that transaction done even now. We would have stuck with it. So we did the right thing in moving away, and now we can see that we're getting into the crosshairs of production at ECR. We have a significant premium to that 4.5 million of accumulated tax losses that we can utilize. 20 to $2 million of tax losses. So that boosts the economics of this project considerably. Indeed, we know that the gold price has moved on dramatically since we give the figures and calculations of $3.6 million of revenue a year. So, I can see with the economics of the project, assuming we can make an improvement and the visibility of gold and the way that it's presented so far looks like we're already making a big dent in it. The economics of the project are only getting better, and that's a nice place for us to be.
Good to speak, Mike. Thanks very much.
Cheers, mate. Take care.